Hello and a very warm welcome to Ian's vlog. First of all, can I point out, I'm really tired. I've had 3 hours sleep and I was busy yesterday. On my previous videos, when I've been up in Wombwell Woods, it's quite a well-known wood. It's actually on the internet. If you go for Wombwell Woods, it'll come up there. It's one of the 10 more important woods in Britain, from what I can tell, or England, one or two. On these trees, they're marked for chopping because of a lot of disease. And it's mentioned on those videos in the Ian's vlog pre-2017 channel that they're going to be chopping them down, and it looks like they've started. Now a lot of these trees where you can chop down, you can see that they're wet through inside, and that's not because it's rained, it's because they're actually sodden. But there's a lot of these trees which are dry, so I've taken opportunity to come down today, as well as an opportunity just to get out into the woods, to trim some of this wood up and hopefully take some bits home so that I can do some stuff with them, because I'm starting to get myself into a bushcrafty kind of thing, in that not just making things out here but making things at home that maybe I can take out with me. The things I'm looking towards getting today is a piece of wood about a foot or foot and a half wide, something like that, by about, let's say about 6 inches or something like that, so I can make some kind of plate or bowl out of it. Now I'm hoping I'm going to be able to find something pre-cut which saves me having to bring my saw in. But we'll have to see. But thank you very much, can I say, also to all the people who's watching the videos. The last video in its first 2 days got nearly 500 views, and that's impressive to me personally. I'm really grateful to people, simply because it's getting the word out and people are coming on little micro adventures, so that's really good. Yeah, I brought a book with me so I can learn, I'll start to learn about identifying trees. I know there's a lot of silver birch in here, probably different types of birch, but I'm learning about the different bark types, the different wood types, what I can do with different kinds of wood, how easy it is to process, the best woods for making fires with, the best woods for making chocks or splitting logs and all that kind of stuff. I've already got a splitting axe, but I'm also after a felling axe, and a friend of mine, Barry Barton, he's got one which he's saving for me. It's a really good one, and I'm also after a plane and all sorts of stuff that I can start processing down wood with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk around and see if I can find some bits of wood. I've seen some bits I've got my eye on, but I've got to remember I've got about 1.5 miles to carry this wood back, which I don't mind. It gives me a bit of workout on the day off from my workouts. So I'm going to do that. Another thing that I'm after getting is maybe a piece of wood that I can make a bowl out of, like a small bowl, and also like the chocks, and also I want to make some wood nails, so I can find some wood to make wood nails with, so when I go out and about, instead of actually using paracord so much, I can start nailing things together, because I've got like a burrowing tool that I can make holes through wood with, and it'd be nice to be able to chop some joints and to be able to link them together with wooden nails. But time will tell. I mean, I might have big ideas for myself. I've brought my belt today, I've got my stainless steel knife, my ferro rod such like, I've got my saw, and I've got this axe. Now, I'm a firm believer if you don't need to buy something, if you've already got something that you can use it. And I've got this here, it's a machete, a military machete sheath, and that's not real leather, by the way, it's that pretend stuff. And that there works for my axe, and this is the axe I got off my friend. It was a bit rustier than this when I got it, and I've cleaned it up and I've put a nice edge on it. But that's lovely. I've got the other Fisker, but I find that the Fisker is a little bit short in handle. It's great for a campfire and for making tinder and such like, but when you're wanting to axe stuff up, you know what I mean, it's a little bit short. But with this, having that indentation there, I can actually get into there with that groove, and I can also do finer stuff as well. So we'll be doing some of that on future camps. You'll notice I'm going away from using quite as much gear. Like the next camp that I'm going to be doing, try not to go on too long, the next camp that I'm going to be doing is going to be including using a blanket. I've got a wool blanket. I'm vegan, I'm not supposed to use wool, but I've got a wool blanket which I've had since I was young. It was passed down to me, so I'm going to use the wool blanket and other stuff. So I'm not even taking a sleep mat, I'm basically going to build, I've got a video on the other channel also where I build a bed out of wood, so I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be building a framework, and then putting, all I'm taking is like a tarp, a wool blanket, a couple of spare tops and something to make fire, and that's basically going to be it. That's all I'm going to be taking with me. So, and I think we're probably coming back here to do that video initially, just to bed myself in again. Alright, I've done that kind of stuff before, but just to get myself used to it again. Alright, so there's not so much tent camping, it's going to be mainly going out into the woods with the tarp, making an open fire, blah blah blah, doing all that kind of stuff, especially this time of year when it's colder nights and you've got that fire coming back at you, just laid in a blanket. It's a lovely romantic thought. Right guys, I'll stop boring you for now and I'll come back to you in a bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be looking for is a piece of wood that I can put down. I've got two big tree stumps which were lobbed down near my mother's house, and I've put them next to each other, and I'm going to cut an indentation into each one, and into that indentation I'm going to put a piece of wood which has been split down the middle and it's facing with a flat end up, and that's going to be a place where I can whittle wood and to create things with wood. And I'm thinking it's going to be it needs to be about that long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lop that off there, which might take me a while, but I'm going to lop that off there and I'm going to attempt to split this wood. Now I've seen some videos where people are splitting. What I need to do is get some chocks and to create something that I can wedge into this wood. Now I really could have done with my splitting axe, but I'm just going to do the best I can, and if I can't do it here, I'll take it home and I'll split it at home. That's no biggie. It's just a case of carrying that piece of wood back. Right, it gets pretty warm pretty quick. I'm using my Laplander to get through this, and it gets pretty warm, so I have to take my fleece off. So I'm getting there. Okay, I've turned it now. And I think one thing to notice when you get into this, remember that nature ain't going to work with you on most occasions. It'll work against you, so get ready for sticks being in your way, tripping over things, branches coming up, smacking you in the face. You get all that kind of stuff, and what that does, it builds up tension and stress, and that can get you to throw a towel in. The thing with this is to stick at it with dogged. Got some great tinder on this. It's birch. You might as well hang around while ending. Just goes to show you, standard blade on a Laplander, 6-inch thick piece of wet birch. It's gone through. So there you go, Laplander straight through. 6-inch piece of birch, lots of life left in that. Oh, put that there. So, where am I going? So, next job is to split it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to split it out here, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to make some chocks out of some wood. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my axe, and I'm going to keep hammering it all the way down one edge. I can't find a cutting face on here, it really is wet. Normally if you get dryish wood, it has like cracks in it on here, you can see where the line is. You can work on that with a splitting saw, a splitting axe. But with this there ain't, so I'm going to do what I can. If I can't do it, at least I've got my line for when I come to do it when I get home with splitting axe. Right, I've cleared myself a bit of room, got a lot of branches here, I've trimmed them back, shifted them. It's not worse than trying to work and you're sawing axe and everything's catching on things. So what I've done is I've got these two pieces of wood and I'm going to line them up so they've got like a little jinnel down the middle, and I'm going to get my other piece of wood, bang it on top, and I'm going to build, best before that I'm going to get some stakes and bounce them down each side of these to keep this secure. I need to get this lined up, as so. It's always worth taking time out to do this because it's not worse than struggling and fumbling and falling around when you're trying to do a job. I apologise, something I forgot to do, and I forgot to do it on these two. You'll notice there that wood's splitting. Once you've made your point, it's always a good idea just to rim the top off, simply because as you come down, it stops it from splitting off the end, and also it stops it fraying. So you can see that's working now, so when everything goes in there, that piece of wood goes in, it's going to stop it from moving either direction. So this one here is going to go here. So you can see it's got that
come up and you can see, and now it's not fraying on the edges. See, this is a multi-purpose axe because it's got that driving edge, hammer edge. Okay, so let's stop him moving that direction. Okay, so there you can see, I've got my piece of birch inside these two supporting posts, and they're being held in place by these posts here. So I can start working on that line. I've got to look for the best angle really to work with on this. I think it's probably going to be down there. It's a nice flat edge. And I'm going to secure this in here so it's nice and steady, which is going to be interesting because the floor is totally uneven. There we go. So that's nice and workable now. I'm just going to work at it. And then I get some chocks, pieces of wood, preferably as dry as possible. Once I've made my crack all the way down there with the saw, because normally you do a splitting axe for this, but I didn't bring that. I didn't want to bring too much gear. And I knew that if I couldn't do it, I'd stick that on my shoulder and take it home. But this will be in my shed, and half of that will be facing upwards so I can work on it. Right people, upward and onward. Okay guys, I just want to show you, I'm only using a small hand axe, but I'm managing to crack all the way through. It's about controlling that handle of attack, working on it in sections. Mostly I'm telling you how to suck eggs like, but okay, working it in sections all the way down until you get to here. Then what I'm going to do, these two pieces of wood, and I turn them into chocks, and I bounce them across and section them, and then just pop them in, and hopefully it should split. We shall see. You know, so I'm tempted to keep my hand well out of the way and then just let the axe do the work. I start swinging axes around, I'm able to go down with one less arm or a really pulley leg, and I don't want to do that. You've got major arteries, I mean major arteries, that run down the front of your legs, and there's been many times where people are using felling axes or splitting axes or just hand axes, and they've gone in with machetes or axes and they're cut across here, and you will bleed to death in minutes. So very, very important you get that sorted. There you go, that's one. Not sure if this is ready yet, but we're going to get a crack. Yep, that's good. So what I'm going to do is just going to round this off. I'm probably best off using the knife for this one. Loving this knife, genuinely love this knife. When I'm doing this, I'm pulling the wood away from the knife, because if you start doing that you're losing control. So I'm pulling the wood away from the knife. Again, I know a lot of you guys, they know what you're doing. This is for them that don't. And all that's doing is stopping that having the ability to split too badly. Okay. This dandler, by the way, is really, really good quality, but it's also very accessible. You're not going in here trying to find things. So you see that and that can now be popped into there. I'm doing this over here so I don't come back up and hit myself in the face. Okay. Okay. So I can see that's starting to open that crack up straight away. So I'm going to get these in. I'm going to put one there and one there. These are going to be hard ones because I've got to try and open that up first to get them in. But I can see that one's already open. So upward and onward, guys. Okay, so I've got to this point and I've taken the chocks out now because I've got a crack in there. Now listen. I'm hoping you can hear that cracking. Running up grain. Can you hear that? Okay, so now I'm going to get another one. Pop this one. Up in here. Hit it at its weak point. I can hear that cracking. Okay, so we've got to quite an interesting part now. It's splitting straight down, cracking nicely now. Just working it on these chocks now. I've made them, when I first started off, they weren't blunt, but they weren't particularly sharp. But what I've done is I've gone further in, I've sharpened them up to get deeper into wood. I'm always careful of that there. If you want to, you can take an hammer. I'm very, very wary and I'm not taking big swipes. So you can stop squinting and squinting, thinking I'm going to smack this in its face with axe. That's cracking lovely now. There's a chock down here as well. What I'll do is I'll turn it over. You can see that split straight through now. And bit of work, could have taken it home, could have used my splitting axe, but it's always good to learn how to do things with alternative tools, because you might not have them tools when you need to do a job. See my legs are apart, they're away from axe. There's strands in there which are holding on. It's literally now just sure there's a trimming out. I want to keep it on camera so you can see it go. Right. And there you go. Now I can choose between those two pieces of wood. Which one I want to use as a work surface. I'll clean that up. And these will be coming handy for my fire. Probably that one. But at least I've got that one to work on now, don't I? So now I've got a work surface. Okay, so that's one job out of the way. Learning curve. Learned a few things doing that, really good after watching videos. Can I dedicate this video, and it sounds daft, but I want to dedicate it to Barry Barton. I've spoken to him quite a few times. He's an acquaintance friend of mine who gets me gear. Now he doesn't buy and sell retailly. He'll get something. If he finds out he's not using it, he'll let me know that it's available and I'll decide if I want to buy it. And he's given me some brilliant stuff. The axe, he's given me my Fisker axe, he's got me my splitting axe, he's got me rucksacks, sleeping bags, all sorts of stuff, and I'm so grateful to him for helping me out, because I don't make a lot of money. I'm not on high income. It might look as if I've got a lot of kit, but I ain't. well, I've got kit, but I've got a specific kit that I want, and Barry's been a bit of a rock really. What I do is, if I think I need something, like for example, I think it's a draw saw, you know, for cleaning wood up, with the two handles and the blade. He's put one to one side for me, and he had hardly used it. He just bought it and he's selling it to me. And he's also got me a felling axe. Now the felling axe isn't for felling live trees, it's for felling dead wood. You know, like large trees which have been just died, dead standing, big ones. It's for cleaning them up, and that's something else that he's got me. And it's the same make as my other axe. So to me, he's been a friend on Facebook, and I've met him quite a few times. I just wanted to dedicate this particular video to him, because had it not been for him, I probably couldn't afford the things which I'm using now to be able to create the things, and hopefully so to share these experiences with you. Okay, anyway, moving on from that, I'm using this wood. This is the wood that I was using for making the chocks. I think that's the word, chocks, wedges. So what I do is I make some nails now, some wooden nails, and it's basically very simple. You basically get a piece of wood for whatever length you want, and I get them nice and long, and then you split it down to the sort of sizes that you want, and then you get your knife and you shape them, and I want about 20, so that basically when I come out I can stick a few in my bag. So when I'm making shelters, I've got a burrowing tool. So basically, instead I can make two sort of right angle joints on two pieces of wood, and then burrow through each side, and then I can just knock one of these nails through, and it'll be actually be nailed together, which will be awesome. All right, so that's what I do now. So upward and onward. Okay, so in the nail, that's all I want. A small piece of wood, about 5-6 inches long, and out of this I should be able to process quite a few. I'll process a few of them, and then I'll just come up to show you how nicely this knife processes wood. Just slices through it, and all these bits there I can use for my little multi-fuel stove in a bit. I'm making these all different sizes because I don't know what I'm going to be wanting on day. I can use this knife for battening. It's sharp as hell. Absolutely love this knife. So you've got another two little nails. So all they are, if you take them weird, it saves you having to process it when you get there. And people might say, well, why not just take normal nails? Because these are biodegrade. Okay? It just comes off so easily. All I'm doing is taking the edges off and giving them some kind of form, and getting different shapes and sizes slightly, because you never know what you're going to want when you're there. So I've done a few more of these. I think it's time for a cup of coffee. I do appreciate you watching. In a way, suppose I'm a bit of a loner because I socialise at work. Look at that, it's lovely. If I need to use that, when I come around to using it, I can trim it, or I can split it, or whatever. It's great for battening, this knife. For trimming bark off, no problem. It really is. I mean, yeah, it's a bushcraft knife. Okay, that's what I bought it as, but it's definitely a survival knife because it doesn't need as much care to look after it, although obviously I do look after it, but in a situation where I was in dire straits, I won't have to worry so much about it rusting. It's a good knife I can use for cutting rope, for building shelters, for battening, for all kinds of things. And there are a lot of knives out there that you can use just for bushcraft, but you can definitely use this around the campsite and also as a survival knife. And with it being a kydex sheath, I don't have to worry about that leather protection either, because that will just look after itself and I can take it in rivers, streams, sea, or anything I want to. Okay, so there's the wood I've made, and there's my little, well, sum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got another 10 to make, so I've got 10 out of that one piece of wood. I've got another piece of wood over there. Now this is the cooker I'm going to be using. I like to use this when I come out and do my bushcrafting stuff because it gives me a chance to burn off or utilise a lot of the stuff that I've been making, if you follow me. That basically just goes like that, that goes on there, that pushes down to the bottom as a tray, and that'll just go on top of there like that. But in this case I'll drop it inside and just stick my, no sorry, I'll open it up and then just stick my steel army mug on top of there. That's all it is, nice and simple. Like that. And it goes all cockeyed, but it don't matter. So I'm going to get that going, get myself a cup of coffee. I use this actually when I come out, coconut milk with my coffee, because coconut milk's really good for you. Alright, so it's coconut oil. I use that on my face, I use it for protecting my knives, I use it on my spoon. That's the spoon that I made when I went out. That's just now being coated in coconut oil and it's brought it up that lovely colour. So I'll be using that's my coffee spoon now. See, these little things that you make, you tend to take on wear each time. And that's not a very good spoon, but it's my first spoon and I'll always use it. It's not my first spoon. The first spoon I ever make, Mike Bright's got, and the second spoon got used as kindling. But Mike Bright hopefully is looking after that. I don't know if he's or not, but it was quite funny. I sent it through to him. And that's the fire steel that I'm using. So there you go, I've got my coffee and my sweeteners in there. Alright guys, I'll get that burning. I'm not going to mess around building a bird's nest and all that business, simply because it's starting to get a little bit dull now and I'm expecting it to get dark soon, and I'm wanting also to make these nails, and I need to find another piece of wood that I can make some kind of plate or dish out of later. So I'll see you in a bit. Oh yeah, and it looks like we're in for a bit of rain, so see you in a bit. So there you go, a belting little thing. Air gets drawn in through bottom, comes up, comes through jets, it feeds the fire from bottom. It's smoking because all this wood in here is quite wet, and that's probably one of the problems I've had with the trees rotting. I know there's a lot of plants, those plants over there, they're not supposed to be here. I can't remember naming them now, but they're not supposed to be here. This is a nice book I've got. A colour guide to familiar trees, leaves, bark and fruit, and it's illustrated, lovely. Let's put this down here and show you. Look how these are illustrated. It's an old book. Now, I'm not particularly good with my plants and my stuff like that, but I'm going to be getting good and I'll learn pretty quickish. So I'm going to be getting into that, and I've also got some really good books which cover outdoor edibles, wild edibles, and I'll put some photos of them books on. Not particularly cheap books, but worth the investment if you're into this kind of thing. Alright guys, I'm going to get the water on. As soon as that gets burning down, I'm going to get some water on and get me a cup of coffee boiled. Okay guys, it's getting a bit darker now, and I've made my coffee.
That's really nice for that coconut milk. Well, I've done what I needed to do. I've sorted my nails out, and I've myself a cup of coffee, and I've sorted my piece of wood out, and I'm going to take this other piece of wood and try to make a bowl out of that. So basically I'm going to take both pieces, so the entire log in two pieces. I'm going to take home and I'm going to clean it up, and I've got the equipment hopefully to be able to cut that one up and make myself either I don't know if it's going to be a bowl, a dish or a plate. I'll just make something, or at least I'm going to attempt to make something. Well, thank you very much for coming on this trip with me. In a minute I'm going to put my fleece back on. I got a bit warm while I was using my hatchet and such like, but I'm going to get my fleece on. I'm going to make my way out of the woods back up to the car because it's getting a little bit dark now, and I'm going to leave you with the sound of the woods and the thought that today I came out with a few tools. I've got myself some stuff to make stuff in future. You can do this yourself. I've had myself a coffee in woods and I'm still enjoying that. And I want to thank once again Barry Barton for assisting me by getting me the tools at good prices that I need in order to be able to make these videos. I am grateful. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please like, share and subscribe. It does mean a lot to me. I don't do it for the money. I don't knock people who do. I don't have an issue with that. I think if somebody does something for other people, they should be paid for it. And I think the expenditure that it can cost to do these videos, for example, the cameras, the transport, the equipment, everything that sort of the infrastructure which is behind these videos can be expensive, and is. For example, the camera you're looking through now was 365 quid when I bought it. My other camera was £245. Then there's the tripods, there's the laptops, which do, and the programs and the software and everything else, and all the camping equipment and the tools and everything that we need to buy in order to be able to bring you these videos. And obviously a lot of time we've got these things, but there are things that we need to buy extra. And I don't, so in other words, I'm saying I don't knock people who monetize the videos in any way, but I just personally don't. And my point behind that is that I'm doing these to share experiences with other people and maybe motivate and get people interactive into the environment and get out back into nature and to earth yourselves out. Well, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon on the next vlog, camp, who knows what it's going to be. See you in a bit. Bye for now.